need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
All right, next question that I'm also going to try and make all about me comes from Dion in Henderson, Nevada. Dion writes, "Hi, Betsy. I love your podcast and book. I've been able to use a lot of your advice to furnish my home, but I am stumped with my media center and I desperately need your help. I have a beautiful off-white media center from Pottery Barn. The centerpiece has 3 shelves on each side and they're adjustable behind glass doors. The side pieces have open shelving, also adjustable. Unfortunately, this piece has become an eyesore, a catchall, instead of a showstopper in the living room. We have some electronic components, a cable box, a modem, even a hand vac on one of those shelves. I know. Of course, we did add some random accessories. What I would like to know is how I can accessorize the media center so that it's functional and beautiful, decorated both on top and on the piece inside. My space is cream/white with touches of blue and orange. Thank you so much for answering my question and helping the masses make more beautiful spaces. All the best, Dion." Well, Dion, I am happy to help. Let's take a look at this. So you described it very aptly. You've got some components behind the doors, and then those 4 doors that are in the middle are flanked by 2 open cubbies. And the open cubbies are accessorized with that shop vac you were mentioning and some other things. So I definitely have thoughts about this entire moment, and I really appreciate the picture because photos help me to give you better advice and help to illustrate the situation. Additionally, our listeners love to see photos. So if you're wondering what this looks like, head over to our YouTube channel, Affordable Interior Design, and you will see pictures of Dion's media cabinet. My advice, first of all, is that we do not put a lamp on top of a media cabinet or next to a media cabinet. And the reason is because when you're watching TV, you don't want to be looking at a light source. It is uncomfortable visually. So I would eliminate that lamp for sure. I don't love tchotchkes on top of a media stand typically, especially with a large TV right above it. I can see that you've wall mounted it, and I can see that you have a strip covering the cords. I don't typically love a strip covering the cords. I would be more inclined to sink those wires into the wall. Now, if your walls are anything like mine, plaster, brick, something really intense, it might be hard to build a channel inside the wall to get those cords to go down. In which case, I am open to you having a cord cover, but you need to paint it the same color as the walls. It should not be painted the same color as the trim. Definitely, that would be a first step. Also, your TV looks a little high to me, Dion. I can see a clip of a chair in one corner, allowing me to know that this is probably high for your room. The height of the TV should be the height of your eyeballs when sitting on the couch. Now, if your room is very deep, you can go higher. So that's in the case where I might allow it to be above a fireplace if it was a very deep room. But even so, you'd probably have to angle that TV down a bit. So my recommendation would be to lower this TV so that we see less of that cord cover strip. And then, of course, to paint that. And then you'll have less room on top of the media unit that you feel obligated to accessorize because, of course, you wouldn't want to put objects in front of the TV screen, which would obstruct your shows. I never want to obstruct my shows, let's be clear. Even though I'm currently watching TV from a slouch and my TV is laying on the floor. Now it's propped up against the fireplace. So, oh my God, guys, it's really been a trial, especially because, I love my shows and watching them on the slouch is really difficult. Let's go back to Dion. Dion, in those open components, you definitely need to make it more of a showpiece. You definitely need to accessorize in a way that is decorative versus practical. So the handheld vac has got to go somewhere else. There are many places, I am sure, in your house for a handheld vac, and I would put that there. The second thing is, moving some of those decorative objects down there. Now, if this is a space where you play games with your family or read books, I always love to incorporate functional items that I would actually use in this space and make them decorative by stacking them in an attractive way or styling them in odd multiples. We don't want to do anything too small and dainty because it'll just look like crap. And especially in these low cubbies, it won't really register what they are. Now, say I do have something like a lot of cords or controllers for the different video games. What I would recommend doing is putting baskets in there, baskets that fill the space rather nicely and that hold a lot of things. I can see that you have baskets behind the doors, and I think that's a really good option as well. But it can be a way to accessorize the open shelving because behind the doors, you're allowed a little bit more grace, right? I'm fine seeing a modem. I'm fine seeing a cable box. Just make sure that the cords are wrangled and that they're in an attractive way, not just piled on top of each other, not just on the Hot Mess Express. And like I said, just wrangling those cords will be a huge help. And, interspersing them so that, you don't just have all the technology on one side and the decorative items on the other side. So I might keep the technology on both middle shelves or both top shelves and accessorize the bottom shelves, making sure that I put unattractive things like cords and controllers in baskets and making sure that I incorporate some colorful items because I see that this room is quite colorful. Now, I may not do anything super fabulous because these cubbies are kind of small, kind of low. So I may not want to make things too bright because I don't want to draw a ton of attention. But you also don't want to make it look so neutral that it's not consistent with the room that has a bold colored chair, a very brightly patterned rug, and a highly accessorized bookcase. You don't want to make this look like the neutral afterthought. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.